Hello everyone, welcome to episode 28 of the Commando cast. I'm Andrew.
And I am Mike, and today we're going to talk about how we got here.
Alright guys, welcome back. So thanks Mike for joining us today. Glad you're back, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys. Missed talking about Destiny. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, so Saturday, you were at Gungai on Saturday as well.
I was. Got to make Gungai, which
great tournament. So we had a very interesting thing happened on Saturday. We had a 12-man tournament and a 5-way tie for first.
3-5-3-1.
5-3-1.
Which I actually wasn't aware could happen.
So I actually texted Mike like immediately after when I got home and I thought about it and I was like, I didn't think that was mathematically possible. And like clearly it is, because we all went back and we checked to make sure that all the scores were done correctly, and it happened. So we had 5-3-1s. I ended up I lost the first game and fought my way back, and I ended up taking down the person who was in the lead, and then I still got 5th just with the way the tiebreakers work. Right. So it was quite fascinating. So
I won my first game. Lost my second game to the eventual winner.
And you got second.
And I took second, and then I won my next two and ended up getting second.
But that's because you lost to Enzo, who ended up winning. So it was like there was like a 3-way tie even on like extended strength of schedule, and it was messy and interesting.
12 is just such a good number, though.
I love 12-person turn, or like 13's okay too. I mean, you hate having odd numbers, but like 12, 13's okay.
I really like it. I think 12 is very welcoming to new players too, because real quickly the tournament breaks into like a top bracket and a bottom bracket, and I feel like there's a lot of good, like the younger, newer players can kind of play down with each other a little bit after the second, after the first round. They kind of, they might run into someone nasty in the second round, but after the second round, if they're having a bad day, they get into more competitive.
Yeah. Whereas an 8-man is just kind of everybody's punching each other all the time.
Right.
No, I hear you. So you were playing a cool deck. What were you playing?
So I was running the support Grievous and Super Battle Droid and Sentinel Messenger, and I had.
So by support you mean you were starting with AR? Right?
Yes,
Armored Reinforcement.
I was with Armored Reinforcement. I always call it, because I've been playing with the Grievous, the killer Grievous, the 20-point Grievous as well lately.
Okay.
So I always call the baby Grievous like the 12. Is he 12 points?
Yeah.
Like he's the support Grievous. Someone else tipped me to the pairing, just the math on the pairing, and I thought it was interesting. And I couldn't find a deck list because I wanted to see what was the makings of it. So all the deck makeup is actually fully, like, everything in there is what I thought. I'm actually curious to see what it goes up against some of the well-established versions of it. But I actually run 3. I was running 2 vehicles in it, and I actually ended up adding a third after the tournament because I wanted more of a toolbox kind of setup. So I actually have 3 vehicles that I can go get depending on my matchup, which I think is interesting. And I don't mind playing. If I pull one or the other after AR and I have the money, I'll play it. But it's neat having the ability to kind of pivot early game based on my matchup.
Yeah. So you were. It's primarily a wheel bike reset, right? But you were using the defoliator.
I had the defoliator tank, and then what I ended up adding in later after my game with Enzo, like after the tournament, because Enzo just murdered me with force jumps because he was playing Mill. We as a play group, I put the deck list up on our Facebook page, and everyone kind of gave their 2 cents on how to deal with Mill. And I came up with I took one of the suggestions to add in droid tank. Because it has no blanks.
The Hailfire.
Yeah, the Hellfire droid tank. Yeah, because it has no blanks. It has really good sides. Like, there's a lot of good things going with it. It's a droid, so but
the defoliator on its special can't be flipped either by force jump, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it was cool. I think when I played Enzo, I erred. I should never have gone for the wheel bike in that game. Like, that was my biggest problem.
I think you would have been, because this again is what we were talking about on our Facebook group, right? The Commando's internal, but I think if you'd had your 2 laser cannons on your wheel bike, then I think that's the way to go. But otherwise, your idea of flipping to the special and the defoliator seems pretty solid. Yeah.
So that's the whole point of the deck with either any of the vehicles is you eventually end up with triple laser turret and astro geisha or targeting astromech, right? So you flip to the side you want, and there's zilch your opponent can do about it, right? Because your TLT is protecting it. So
but they can still blanket.
They can.
Sorry, you're saying the special.
Right. So that all depends on what they're doing, because sometimes they're gonna, if they want to use their removal, to blanket. Grievous has 2 focus sides. The Messenger has another focus side. So there's a lot of that. The deck's really fun. Most people, I don't think, see it coming. I think they will now. Obviously, but
yeah. And then I played Jin Cassian. I think that deck's actually in a really good spot right now. I lost my first round to a really cool, and shout out to James for coming out. He's been a Dice Commando watcher for a long time, so glad to see you come out. Really cool fat falcon, and by fat falcon we mean like the big falcon, like the 6 cost Big Daddy Falcon, right?
I watched that match this morning on the channel.
Deck's got potential.
I think so, because it's weird how the new players, because they have their card pool is limited, they have to put together some stuff that we would naturally consider. So with a 3-dice start, going to get the Falcon, I think is like as good as a character.
Yeah, and vandalize that sucker.
Right, yeah. There's nothing you can do about that thing.
Yeah.
It's
and it pulls. I didn't realize until I sat down with him. I mean, I get how it works. I just never put 2 and 2 together. But it pulls the Escapecraft.
Yeah.
I mean,
it adds like an elite character to their matchup.
I mean, wow. Yeah. So I mean, I was very impressed with that. So anyway, so I lost that. Cut through my next 2 pretty easily, and then met Enzo in the final, and ended up milling him out. So it was a mill on mill final. So I'm sure the comments will be super awesome on that.
So you beat like Enzo's mill deck, like his hyper focus mill deck, because you're playing a mill kill. Like I watch you.
But Jin can. So this is why I love Jin. She can. Right. So his deck is obviously set up to survive. So he has roughly 1 in 3, which is like the perfect number of cards in his deck that are helping him to progress his mill game, whereas the rest is really just deflection and disruption.
Healing, disruption. Yeah.
Right. So Jin can go in and just eviscerate his pro mill cards. Right. The only
and you leave him with his useless cards.
Yeah. So I tossed I tossed his resistance ring first round, and then I got, I think, a force meditation, and then then the only problem you have to, like, he did get 1 resistance ring out so he could recur, but once he was done recurring his no answers, he had to do it with his dice, and then it like I believe the last turn I was able to entangle like a Yoda special on a 2 discard, and that's turn, right? So
yeah, Sarah's kind of our resident Jin Cassian player. Like she's been the most.
She plays it more flexible than I do. She can go both ways. I had mine very mill focused.
Yeah, and I feel like the last couple she's really turned to mill more. And I don't know, the way that thing mills with no answer, it just mills so hard. Both characters have 2/1 discard sides, right? So there's just, someone asked other, how do you finish games with that deck? And it's like both characters have.
Yeah, it is hard to finish, but I think that's only when you put it into perspective, in that you're used to like chucking like 8 cards a turn, and all of a sudden you can't chuck from deck anymore, and now you feel bad because like you can't resolve Cassian's deck for dice for anything other than indirect. Anyway, I still think it's in a really good spot. It performed really well. I just got my butt kicked first round.
I know a savvy player, knowing that you're playing Hero Red and Mill, will not discard 1 card to avoid the no answer play. Do you? Well,
it's a lot of times. That's the problem with the Yoda Leia Mill, is like a lot of times it's unavoidable.
Right, they're just in your hand for 4, right? Yeah. So do you? It's funny when Mill first started getting hype for Mill around mid legacies. People were running the Bespin Wingguard. And I haven't seen it since then. Do you feel like it's just too costly, too slow?
I don't have the room for it in my deck because I run Scrap Heap, which you have to. You don't have to with Jin, but like.
It enables your removal and your ramp.
And then, I don't run it in that deck because I don't find that the discard sides are a problem with that. When I used to run Yoda and Cassian, I would run it because Yoda's 1 discard side is not sufficient. So I haven't seen Enzo's list, nor have I asked for it because I'm not that kind of guy, right? But my guess would be he's running 1.
Wingguard?
Yeah.
No, I've seen his list.
Oh, he's not running. Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, so enough chat about that. We are not actually going to talk about Monday Night Dice right now because we're going to bring it back because it actually fits into the discussion we want to have today. So, Mike, what is going on in the state of Destiny right now?
People are a little unhappy, as per the usual for Destiny.
Yeah, I would say that's people complaining about the state of Destiny is not abnormal.
We fall into once again someone called it the unholy trinity.
Well, that's specifically those 3 supports.
Right. Yeah. So that would be Mega Blaster Troopers, Entourage, and our very favorite card, Vader's Fist, where you can play 3. If you play Rainbow, you actually can just get all of them out and murder people. Yep. With I think is the best deck in the meta right now. You could. And I think that's your Snoke and Tarkin.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would argue that the Talzin Watto Watt is up there, and then there's of course the Snoke version, right?
So what's wrong, I would say, or what people are unhappy about is they feel like we're kind of back to the same thing again, which is this support
ramp support.
Yeah.
And
Watto exacerbates that, right? Because we can't interact with him.
Right. No. Yeah. Exactly. And then there's the ever-going Snoke problem that they gave him a point, and I think we pretty much when they gave him a point before we're pretty much like, so what?
Yeah. Snoke's the jump master.
It's like you killed Thrawn,
Destiny
stunk, but or not stunk, but like you killed Thrawn, which that deck stunk, but like it didn't really change anything, right? So. So to that end, going into this conversation, we actually have a Dice Commando spoiler.
Oh.
Yeah. That I want to. So Mike has literally never seen this, so I'm going to flip to it right now, and I'll put it up, and I'm going to read it out. So this is Boba Fett, Armed and Dangerous. He is a 9 health, 9/12, 1 gun, 2 gun for 1, plus 2 gun, 2 disrupt, 1 discard, and a blank character bounty hunter. Text: this character's character dice cannot be removed. So, Mike, what do you think?
Have we learned nothing? Oh my gosh, what are we doing?
So, what are your thoughts on this card?
Cost is below. It's low for what it probably should be. I mean, it lines up with the 9 health, 9 cost thing. But when you're talking a character has 2 sides and they can't be interacted with once again, I immediately thought Hondo because of the two disrupt side.
Hondo, you mean Watto?
Sorry, Watto, yes. So he does not have a pace. He does not have a money side, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Like not having a resource side is
no, it is. I'm just looking at him from a pure value standpoint, right?
Yeah, value wise, like holy smokes.
Yeah.
So that pace side on the 2. Does that bring it down like half a value for you?
It brings it down by 1.
By 1, a whole. So
it costs you $1. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, all right. Now I have to admit, I just played a joke on Mike because I'm trying to make a point. So this is not an actual Dice Commando spoiler. I want to put this in context of Watto. Watto is a 2 disrupt, a 1 discard, a 1 money, a 2 money for 1, and a plus 2 money, with of course his dice not being able to remove. So the question I have for you is, if we're comparing these two, I think we both agreed that Boba Fett was over curve.
Oh yeah, just the value for the numbers even.
So, but we've agreed, and we've seen it before, right? I've talked about it in the value episode. We all agreed that a resource is equal to 1 damage from a value standpoint.
Correct.
So why is Boba Fett broken, but Watto's not? The answer is that Watto is broken.
Yeah.
Watto is broken.
Don't ever do that to me again.
I had to do it for
we're gonna see like you have to use that little graphic with a chair coming over and then no, your point is excellent. Like
so here's the point I'm trying to make, right? I think part of the reason we've gotten into the spot we are in Destiny right now is because of the way that we are valuing support characters. Support characters making money has value in this game. Right. Extreme value in this game, right? And actually with the support packages out there right now, you could maybe even argue that money is actually more valuable than damage.
Especially early money.
Right. That's what I mean. I'm talking first turn out of the gate, right? So why are we valuing support characters differently than characters that have damage? That's the question I have.
Why are they coming in at 11, 12, 13 points?
Right. And you can see that this has continued, right? Look at the new Kylo and the new Rey that have been spoiled for the next set. Right? They're 15 pointers with a 1 damage and a 2 damage and then some 1 sides and then specials that do stuff. Right? But Watto's a 9/12 with a 2, a 1 money, a 2 for 1, and a plus 2.
That can't be removed.
For a 912.
Right.
And they can't be interacted with. I mean, even ignoring that they can't be interacted with, if you look at the value of that from a 912, that's huge.
The money issue, to me, feels like really the root of all of our problems.
Yes, I agree. And or focus, right? I mean, focus is very difficult to value because it depends what else is in the pool, right? I mean, obviously, a 9 focus on the table by itself is still a 0, right? A Padme on the table actually, that's a bad example.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
right.
So
yes. Okay.
a Snoke 2 focus by itself is worth 0.
I get stuck with my messenger die on the focus all the time.
Yeah,
right. That's
fair enough. Right, and aside from Forsaken,
right.
But I guess that's the point I'm trying to make is I don't really understand why we value or why we have started valuing support characters the way that we do, because it feels like they almost get like a 2-point debuff because they don't have a damage side.
And I'm probably talking a little bit. I mean, I'm just kind of talking it through my head. So if I resolve Watto's 3 resources and I spend those on an entourage round 1, right? Let's say it doesn't spawn any other supports, right? Sure. I just roll the 3 damage. His 3 indirect. 3 indirect.
Okay.
So if the game goes 4 rounds, I did 12 damage, which means
you just mean on a straight up exchange.
Straight up, right? Yeah. So I did a value of 12,
and the indirect's maybe not the greatest example because indirect's slightly less value.
Well, let's do the Mega Blaster for 4.
Perfect example.
Right. So it's got a 2, and it rolls out.
It's got let's say it rolls a 2, a blank, and a 1.
A Mega Blaster is good for at least 2 direct damage every round, minimum.
I'd say the average value on a Mega is 3.
Yeah. So let's say 3. Yeah. So over the course of a 4-round game, because Mega Blasters is probably not going past 4 rounds, you're doing 12 damage.
But then you're assuming that you don't have focus to fix, and that's the other problem too, right? So like it's like this cascading problem that we're starting to have, where support characters at this like 9-12 sweet spot that we're seeming to find are just broken.
And you brought up one of the decks earlier that I think it really illustrates this, which is the Watto Watt Talzin deck, which it's 2 weenie characters, right, that don't do any damage on their own.
Right.
Actually, it was Watt. No, Watt doesn't even have an indirect.
Watt has 1 indirect.
Yeah, okay. So you get 2 weenie characters in Talzin who can be pretty good, but you're only running her 1 die.
Talzin's great.
Yeah, Talzin is. She has been good.
Talzin has a free focus die.
But I've seen people run that deck, and they're not even running full odds. Like they're because there's so many good.
I mean, we've talked about it before. In Talzin, you only need to run about 26 odds. Right.
So that's a perfect example of what I think is where you are 100% right. Where I can pack in 3 characters, 2 of them are weenies. Only 1 of them really does any damage. They don't even have that much health.
You don't even care about Talzin for her damage.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. All I'm trying to do for her is I'm trying to fix Watto's dice
and get blue.
Right. Yeah, and get blue. So that's a perfect illustration of why I have the most fun in Destiny when you and I both break out like damage dealing decks. Like mid decks are the most fun, interesting chess-like.
I would agree.
Game.
Yeah, and I think that's what the community wants, right? And I'm gonna do a quick aside, diverging from kind of the planned conversation, right? But I was thinking about it, and how many of the decks that we see on a daily basis have characters from the original trilogy in it? And I mean like legit characters from the original trilogy.
Han,
right? Like Han and Luke and Leia. Like aside from Mill, and that's like old lady Leia, right? Yeah. That's like get off my lawn, Leia,
sure.
Right? So
old folks home Leia,
right? And I get it from a sales standpoint. They want to put like the Lukes and the Obi-Wans and stuff in the starters so that they can sell the starters and get interest. So I get that, and by nature, those characters thus have to be slightly devalued just because they're starter characters, right? But like you look at the new Chewie from the new set, like why is Watto in like 85% of the games that we're seeing? Like, where's Luke? Where's
Chewie? Like, well, they released the Satine in Obi-Wan starter,
which was cool,
right? But of those 2 characters, which one are you playing?
Yeah, Satine. And
every time.
And she was in a couple episodes in Clone Wars. It's cool. So basically what we have is my argument that I've made about the support characters, in that the support characters are just way undervalued because we don't value characters that don't have damage, right? And I get it, they can't close out a game on their own, but like there's way more to this game, and that's where we come into the supports, right? So over the course of this game, since Awakenings, right, we have made supports, or they, whatever, the collective we have made supports become incredibly more efficient, higher power for the same cost, or lower cost for the same power. And like I've got a couple examples I'll put here. So first, like the Delta 7 Interceptor versus the ETA, the Jedi one again, and we're not even talking like super powered ones, right? You got the First Order TIE Fighter, like that was like the OG support, right? Mm-hmm. And it rarely hit the table. And then you now have the ARC, which is like a 2-gun, 3-for-1 compared to that First Order Stormtrooper or First Order TIE Fighter. Like it's not even a comparison. Like it's very difficult to make the argument that supports haven't continued to become more efficient.
Right.
And then you go to stuff like Fist or Planetary or like, could you have imagined a Mega Blasters in Awakenings? Like,
well, I don't know if you've been able to afford it. Like that, I mean, that would have been really hard.
Well, I mean, that fits into my point too, in that like we've started to see. I mean, remember the OG support character was Admiral Akbar.
Right.
He would have been I actually, what's he been? Is he 12 now?
Yes, I think they've moved into support. So
that's my point, right? Is like so your OG support character that had 2 money sides. He was like the guy that had 2 money sides, and he was 14, and now he's 12. Right, so, and that's only to make him on par with these other guys. That doesn't mean, so what we've seen 2 things. We've seen a devaluing or a decosting or an efficiency boosting, power boosting, let's say, of the support characters. And at the same time, we've seen a power boost of the supports.
Correct, right.
And at the same time, we've seen a devaluing of upgrades.
Yeah.
Why are you going to play a mid-mid?
Right.
Especially when you can't find a replay gun to save your life anymore. Right? Yeah. Like, why is Hold On Not Blaster not reprinted?
And you pointed out the Rey Kylo, which I think everyone's going to want to play, right? I mean, normies are going to want to play that, right? Like, I want to play that. That's
probably the only reason I'm going to buy 2 boxes of the next set, is because I want to try and get 2 of those guys, right? Like,
so that's awesome, but very quickly we're going to figure out that it's completely not viable.
It's not.
Like, I mean, it's just sad. I think that even goes again back to your point. How come we can't get any viable, like, I would consider it not even original trilogy, but our favorite characters. Like Kylo is one of my favorite characters. And I mean, 17-point Kylo is good, but
he's coming back.
He is coming back. But I mean, 15-point. I mean, you're telling me there's a 2-point difference between 15-point Kylo and 17-point Kylo? Like, there's only. Like, that doesn't seem right.
Oh, that's a fair point. I was more thinking about it the other way, in like, why the heck is Rey at 15 only 2? Actually, she's 3 points more than like a Watto. Like, I'm not saying Watto should be 15. That's not what I'm saying. But like, is Rey really 3 points more valuable than a Watto? The answer is absolutely no.
Let me ask you a question. So right now, Snoke is 12-14.
Correct.
Watto is 9-12.
Correct.
Okay. So, do you feel like, and Snoke still sees play currently?
A little bit, yeah.
Right. And he's mainly used as a ramp character.
Absolutely.
Right. So, if Watto was 14 points, does he still see play?
Not with Snoke.
No, not with Snoke. But aside from, like, if Watto was 14 points, would he still see play?
I think you could make a very able case. Okay, let me ask you this. The Boba Fett you just saw, look at like a Dengar or something like that. Right. Like the Boba Fett you just saw would be a 14-point character.
Yeah, because Dengar's a damage dealing character, and they value that ping damage so high.
Well, and okay, so the ping damage, so Dengar might be a bad example in that.
But you have to get it.
I just meant the stats of Dengar.
Right.
So like Dengar's
he's a 1-1-2, right?
I think Dengar is a completely fairly costed character. Like he's not great, but like he's a good character.
I actually like Dengar.
No, I do too, and I actually think that I think as the set develops, I think Dengar is going to become like really good. But my point is like that Boba Fett that I showed, right? The fake spoiler, I think would have been a 14-point character.
Yeah.
But it's valued exactly the same as Watto.
Right.
So.
And did you do when you did the value on did you value them perfectly?
They're exactly, and that's why he didn't have a money side, is I didn't want to throw off the value. That's why I used the discard and the 2 disrupt, because I didn't want to throw off the value, right? So the people who were going to try to, tear the argument apart couldn't, like, if I'd thrown a money in there, it would have gotten off.
Right.
So.
No, yeah.
All right, so I mean, I think I've made my point, right?
Yeah,
like we never would have seen the supports like we're seeing today back in the day, and we're not on a 2-resource curve anymore. So it's like we've broken our 2-resource curve, we've made our support characters way more efficient or way stronger, and we've made our supports efficient. So it's like problem statement was we're not seeing enough supports in play. Let's fix the problem. They solved it with 3 solutions, and then they all crossed at some point and exceeded each other, and now the game like came off the rails.
And then like they allowed a lot of the damage, a lot of the good upgrades and mid tools and ways to deal with these vehicles, these supports. They've allowed them to rotate out without providing any replacements for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think of Surgical Strike right now.
Like Surgical Strike.
How awesome would that be right now if we had Surgical Strike?
Although red is pretty strong right now, actually.
You could like dust any like with like a. I'm trying to think who has the highest.
I'd be playing that in Jin Cassian for sure.
Yeah, because you could dust a 4-cost support, right, with one of Jin's.
With a single.
Oh no, because it does 2 dice, increasing the values.
No, it's any number of red dice increasing the values.
Oh my! It's showing a range.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that would be sick right now.
You could with two Jin dice could take out a Fat Falcon or a Big Falcon, whatever you call it.
Maybe don't imprint. Maybe come out with something.
I mean, whatever. It's.
Although it'd be nice to take it out in Planetary Bombardment with 2 Jin dice.
So what I'm showing right now, and it's covering both Mike's and I's face because I want everybody to be able to see it in full. But I went through, and this graph actually took me an embarrassingly large amount of work to go through. So what I did is I went through every support that's ever been printed, broke it down by set, and I went through and using my own value system, I put an EV per cost. So this is EV
per cost
divided by cost, meaning it's a ratio, right? And I realized that EV divided by cost is a ratio, and then I put ratio, so it's like putting it on there twice. And I just want to be very clear. Right. So what I'm showing here is essentially, this is a graph of the efficiency of supports by set. So what we see is Awakenings is the lowest. So if you were to put a support in play in Awakenings, you would get roughly it's like 0.45 EV per resource you spent.
Okay.
Right. In Convergence, it is it has increased. The value by Convergence has increased on support by 50%. So a 50% increase on what you're getting. Now, the reason that Legacy is actually, what you can see is when you look at this chart, you see a very steady increase over time. It's almost linear with the exception of Legacies. The reason Legacies pops out is because of the huge influx of indirect damage.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So even though indirect, I do value at slightly less.
0.8, right?
I value it at 0.8 is my value. Even though it's valued at slightly less, because they were think about like a mortar team. Like a mortar team is a huge value. Right, 1-1-2-2 with a disrupt and a blank. Right, resistance bomber is actually very high value.
Yeah, that one really messes up. I'm sure your whole map.
So that slightly screwed up the curve. But you can see by looking at this chart, which I've actually taken down by now, right? But you can see by looking at this chart that there's a very steady increase over time. So unless this trend continues, how is our situation going to go away? Right now, what I didn't take the time to go through and do was look at the value of upgrades over time because I have no idea how to cost redeploy, so I didn't even open that.
Okay, so to answer your question, like if this continues this way, which history would say that it probably is, right? My answer would
hopefully
be
it'll at least cap.
Well, okay,
right.
Well, let's say if it caps at its current state, it's still a problem.
Not by itself. It's a problem given that our Admiral Akbars are now 12 points as opposed to 14.
That's my solution.
And the fact that all of our anti-vehicle, anti-support hate has gone away.
So if it stays at this level, I believe the answer is you have to nerf the money-making supports.
Correct.
Or, I'm sorry, the money-making support characters.
The money makers, the rampers, the whatever, right? Or you just have to tone down. I mean, I have no problem with, to be honest, I don't think Admiral Akbar was properly costed at 14. I don't think anybody ever did, which is why nobody ever played him, right? So I don't think that, Watto's, and I've been picking on Watto, he's an exception, right? I don't think that Admiral Akbar is unfairly costed at 12.
No, I don't think so either.
Right. So I think the answer lies in how we're valuing supports, right? Supports just need to take a chill pill, take a step back, maybe go back to that. Maybe 0.5 is the right number, whatever it may be, right? But where it is right now think about that. Every resource what this is saying is that every resource you spend on average is going to get you 0.65 damage per turn. Yeah,
so if you get that's pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
So you figured in like the extra dice from the Mega Blasters.
I did, and there were some I threw anything within. So I just want to be clear on how I calculated this. So for those who are going through it, right? Like Imperial Troop Transport, Launch Bay, and stuff like that with the X's, I actually threw those out. Those did not factor in the calculation because there was just no way to
Fist, did you figure the 2.5?
Fist is a large part of why Across the Galaxy is so high. Fist and the Falcon are why ATG is so high. Actually, there was not that many impressive supports in Across the Galaxy.
Fist was plenty.
Yeah, Fist. and then I averaged Fist actually over 3 turns, right? Because the first turn it hits for 3 times, and then 2 times. So I actually averaged that over 3 turns.
Yeah, because games never went more than 3 turns when you had the.
Well, I figured 3 was reasonable.
Yeah, no, I would. That's very accurate.
So, like I said, I put more time than I like to admit into making this graph. And whether the numbers are accurate or not, the fact that I did it all in the same way shows the trend.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. No, I think it's yeah.
So I mean, I think we've made our point there, but it just kind of highlights the point I'm trying to make that support characters low.
Yeah, they
supports high.
Yeah, so. But okay. So my idea, which is nerf the support characters, is an immediate fix that can be undone once things chill out. If we
you just mean by balancing them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think longer down the road of like, how do we not keep having to have a balance of force 2 months into every set and having people get
take the chill pill on the supports. Like pump the brakes,
I'm saying, right? Like just tap it. Just tap it in. Tap it. Tap it in.
All right.
So I mean that's pretty much it for my point. So what we go to from that is what Mike, wearing his Smugglers Run Gaming shirt, what Smugglers Run Gaming did on Monday was what, Mike?
So we decided, and by we I mean me, decided that I was hearing a lot of complaints from my player base that they were tired of just seeing the same supports being played. I called it degenerate support spamming. I know that's probably a harsh term, but that's what I was calling it. So what we did is
the Scoundrel package feels like support spamming to me.
Right. And not just supports. People were tired of getting force stormed into the ground.
I mean, that's a different discussion.
So I want to talk about those 4, and then I want to get to the other one. So I made a list of what I called limited standards. So,
and I'm showing your post right now.
Okay. So just for those that don't like to read, limited standards states that we use standard rules, except if it's on the limited list, you may only include 1 copy of that card in your deck build. In doing that, I was reducing the consistency of support decks. Mm-hmm. I felt that for me to limit the consistency of support decks, that mill would become too strong. So I also limited no answer as well.
I think that was the right play. Personally,
right. I know that we've had a lot of debate locally here about whether it's the right call, and I would like to say that I am in no way stating that it is the right call. Like, it's an experiment to see what it does. Monday night, although we had a kind of a smaller crew because we had a lot of people out of town.
Because everybody disagreed with
right, yeah. I thought we saw some pretty interesting, we did see
we saw
variants.
Not the same 4 decks, right?
Right. Which I guess if that was my goal, that was what, and I heard good feedback from almost everybody. Like there were people who were not happy with it, and I wanted to hear what they had to say about it. I just felt like to quote my boy Spock, the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few.
Sure. I mean, the counter argument to just increasing variety would be, why not run a theme night?
Yeah.
Right. So where I wanted to drill down more to, because I think what you did is an interesting experiment, not just in what decks we got out, but also in how things played. Right. So what I'm driving for more is, how do you think? And maybe we didn't even see it. Maybe that's not the way it evolved. It was only one night.
Right.
But how do you think having a limited list impacts the game? Right? Because what you can't do is you can't limit a character. And that's a very interesting part of this game. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you balance that. You would balance the character instead, right? But
I just felt that balancing the cards, in essence, made some of the overpowered character abilities on the support characters we've talked about it a little bit more null and void.
Was it null and void or less consistent?
Less consistent, because I mean, you could conceivably pull that Entourage. You could
still get it firsthand,
right? You could get it firsthand. The Entourage is a big hitter. I think Entourage is a super overpowered. It's funny.
Here's my hot take. I don't actually think Entourage itself is overpowered.
It's the hunting of going to get another card.
So it's that, but it's the ability that you can consistently make the money to get two of them down.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the problem statement? Right. Not the fact, like, Entourage is a 2 indirect, 3 indirect, probably a 3 in most cases, right? And I realize it can become more, I get it, but like, that's not that bad for a 3-cost support.
So I would...
And to be fair, I valued the special at 3 in my...
Oh yeah, no, I think that's fair. So I think if I'm playing a Watto Scoundrel package, my perfect round 1 is I get I mean, within reason. I'm very happy with a round 1 board state of Entourage and Fickle Mercenaries. Mm-hmm. It's a 4 money, easily can make...
Fickle is so good.
4 money, right?
Fickle's so good.
I hated Fickle. In fact, I took Fickle out of all my decks and put it in Hired Muscle, and now I'm starting to put Fickle back. I wonder if we'll start to see people starting to buy Fickles now that... buy back and forth from each other.
The only time I've been seeing it happen is late game when people have more money than they know what to do with, right?
So my point was, I felt that if my opponent gets the Entourage play, getting the one, even if he pulls it round 1, he gets the Fickle, which is the perfect board state for that. The Entourage having a 2 resource side, allowing that card to only be able to be resolved once or at one time per round at 2 resources, I thought was enough to limit it. Again, I don't know. I don't know if it was the right call or not. It did what I wanted it to do,
which was increased variety.
Which was increase in variety. But I will tell you, let me give you a negative. One of the negative things that I saw from the evening, just for myself. I played a sub tier 2 deck to great effect on Monday night. I played Grievous, Fearsome Cyborg. Is it Cyborg?
That's Big Grievous.
Big Grievous.
20-point Grievous.
And Messenger, which is basically...
And Retribution.
Oh, yeah, and Retribution. And it's a worse version of Vader Battle Droid.
Sure.
Right. In every way, it's worse. Messenger's kind of cool, but I think what can happen is, from a competitive standpoint, in limiting standard to non-standard, I may be creating some false results for the more competitive players. And I think that may be where I did get some...
You mean in what they leave there thinking is going to be good.
Right. And I think with some of the pushback I got back from some of the players was like the person who gave me the most pushback was a very analytical person. And I'm a much more of a feeling-oriented person, right? So their argument was from a nuts and bolts numbers standpoint. And I didn't feel that. I felt, right, because I'm a big feeling guy, that we needed to make people pleased. I just hope that... I don't know if I can do it every week, because I don't want to create a weak play environment, like where I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want us to keep growing as a group.
I think I know exactly what you're saying, right? That said, being a rather value-oriented, analytical type person on my own, right, I can tell you that that's only a certain part of this game, right? So if you went out and designed the most, right, so for example, the specific individual you're talking about was not happy about your no answer limit.
That was the original example, correct, right?
And that card in of itself, right, like, I actually agree with his premise in that no answer in of itself is not by itself overvalued.
I would agree with that.
The problem with no answer is 16 cards a turn, right? We've seen it in Enzo's on video on T3 Gaming milling 16 cards around one.
16?
Right? Yeah. Well, to be fair, it wasn't technically a mill because it was discards involved as well, right? So, but
he got 16 cards in the pile.
Went into the pile,
right?
And so again, there's value and then there's reality, because there's how things play out, right? Like, there's been numerous people in the community, not just myself, other people who are value based, right? Like the Magnuson brothers, right? I'm sure that they've come up with like the most valuable oriented deck possible, because those guys are freaking brilliant, and gone and just got demolished, right? Like, there's value and then there's playability,
right?
So I think that long rant over. I think that what you did was not a bad thing, right? Regardless of it being analytical or not, there's analytical and then there's actual reality.
Yeah. And my thing with no answer was, I agree with you. It's not broken by itself. It gets broken when you deja vu it and resistance ring it. And especially resistance ring. Deja vu, resistance ring takes it out.
It puts it out of play.
Out of play, that's right, yeah.
But we're in 30 card decks.
Right,
like, how many times do you need to do
And really, if you hit me with
this isn't magic.
Yeah, if you hit me with 3 no answers, you've basically won the game as a mill player. Like,
I mean, that is assuming you're playing it intelligently.
Yeah,
it's 9 cards.
Yeah, so
10 the first. Like,
that was my. So I'm gonna let it go because I have it scheduled for next week as well.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna do it again.
So let's get some more people out. We want more than 6.
Yeah, so we want actually some
Salem crew.
Yeah, Salem guys, come on. So you brought up theme night. Like, why do?
Because we didn't even really do that much, and we've talked a bunch about how the last meta just kind of stunk for us because our regional was so late and we just kind of blew the whole meta. But like, we haven't done theme nights in, it feels like, 6 months.
So right? that will be the plan. Is once this.
I've got all these guys Commando videos of like, hey, here's what we're doing for theme night, and like they're just collecting dust. Let me use them.
So yeah, we're gonna do some more theme nights. I like theme nights because number one, our theme nights are optional on Mondays. So if someone doesn't want to do it, they don't have to. We award raffle tickets every night when you come. You get more raffle tickets if you win games. You also get more raffle tickets if you bring the theme. So if Andrew brings the theme and it does not perform well, he will generally make as many tickets for bringing the theme.
Because you offset it by 2.
Usually, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is, because if we get more than 4 rounds...
Yeah.
I don't think we can actually play.
Yeah, we could be too late. Yeah, we'd be kicked out. Right? Yeah.
So my wife would be calling me. It's equivalent to winning half your games just by showing up with a theme, which I think is a really good system.
Yeah. And then if everyone brings a theme, the person who performed the best with their theme does genuinely get rewarded with the most. Yeah,
well, I mean, if you show up with theme and you get 2 tickets, and you still win 4 games, you get 4 tickets.
Right.
Like, that's
so
cool,
it's really cool. And then we give away like a legendary every week. That's our raffle. So we have we call it the Wheel of Legendary. So
and then the monthly prize for Jeff. Right,
right, and then Jeff's monthly prize because he wins every time.
So, anyway, I think we're kind of just shooting it at this point. Yeah. But so look, I know that the community in of itself is displeased. Mm-hmm. Mike and I have talked, and I don't ever want to speak for Mike, especially because he's right here, right? But I think we've talked, and we don't necessarily think Destiny is in a bad place, but we're concerned about the trajectory. Yeah. Right, and I think that's what I was trying to illustrate with that plot was like if we continue on this track, we're going to be in deep doggy doo very quickly. Right?
But why does it seem like we just keep doing this? Like we
over and over and over again. Like
with especially with the supports. I mean, I know we've had other oppressive decks, but I don't remember it being like this, like as bad as the supports felt. I mean, Sabine was still Sabine, but she had to roll, and that thing didn't win any major titles. Right? I mean...
Yeah, well, Jim took it to, what was he, top 4? Before he went down to mods?
Yeah, I don't know.
At those last Worlds we had 9 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think part of the problem we're having is how much focus is around too, right? Because, that's kind of your point is like, do we even need dice anymore? It kind of feels not that way, but...
Yeah, and shouldn't all 3 cost upgrades have redeploy? Like, should that just be the norm now, unless they're thematically super powerful?
You look at, they reprinted Lightsaber, which is actually, Lightsaber's not that bad of an upgrade, but, why are you going to pay 3 for the Lightsaber when you can play an Entourage?
Correct.
Right. I just...
That pays for itself.
The Lightsaber's okay. It is. It's an okay card. But Entourage, right?
And look at Mace's lightsaber. That's the one I keep going back to in this set. It's just so underwhelming for 3 because
I'm just wondering if in playtesting they didn't take off redeploy because there was some combo where you could drop it, move it, and then move it again, roll it in. I don't know how you would roll it in 3 times. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
I'll tell you what I'm in love with right now.
Mace's lightsaber should have redeploy.
I'm in love with Fat Falcon.
No,
watching James move the escape craft
because
I didn't realize that the escape craft move away is just an action.
Correct.
And the reattachment is the power act. Because I saw him doing that. I'm like, he's cheating.
No,
no,
and it's not. And like, it's funny because there was one person commented about 2:00 on the day that we're shooting this, and he's like, he basically in not kind internet speak said James screwed up by moving the way he did, and like the answer is actually no, he didn't. He was setting himself up for the next turn because he could move it off twice. Right. So
and he left it detached
correct.
at the end of the round. Yeah, I didn't figure out what he was doing, and that's interesting to me. That's where a newer player with a suboptimal character build, we don't play Fat Falcon because it's not efficient. Right. Well, guess what? If you could figure out a deck that gets that sucker on the table, you're talking. He was basically playing a 5-die.
He had 4 roll-ins of a 2-die 6-cost support.
Yeah. And it was. And
I don't mean roll-ins. Sorry, rounds worth of roll-ins.
And that thing is beastly.
And he was playing L3. If I had killed L3, he would have gotten another reset.
Yeah. And that thing has a 3 resource side, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
he actually took that one time, and I was
Yeah.
like, "You're going to take the 3 resource?" And I was like, "Well, that's odd that you didn't re-roll that." And then he was like, Pfft, and I was like, "Oh."
I keep seeing a deck where I take the 3 and then I roll in the N1 Starfighter, and then I use a special to stand back up the Falcon again.
I'm telling you, James's deck.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy.
Good, like, it's brilliant, right? Well, he's another analytical person, another smart guy,
Oh, is he a...
No, he's for whatever company that we're
okay.
for.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Beep. Right, beep that sucker out. Sorry.
So, anyway, we're just... But also a new teeny.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up this week? I mean, you already said what we're doing.
Yeah, so we're going to do, again, the limited standard. I'm hopefully going to make it to Gongai. It's my wife's birthday on Friday, so maybe she might want to do something. But I've had a really good time on Saturdays, and the showing we've had is really good. A lot of new players. It's been really good. It's at the right time. 2:00 feels really good to me because the sun stays out here so late.
I actually wish it was 3:00 just from like getting up in the morning and like going to the gym standpoint.
Okay.
But
me too. I get struggle with that too.
Yeah,
Sometimes
gotta go get swole.
Yeah, I get swole.
But no, I mean the Gongai has been our savior, right, on Saturday for him. So yeah, shout out to them. So
we appreciate it.
Yeah. So pretty much that's it.
What are you doing? Just the same things?
I mean, I like my routine, right?
Yeah,
so actually, speaking of routine, so we do have the GQ coming up in Seattle. Are you going to the GQ?
Yes.
You are. Okay, cool.
My plan is to drive up and just go, and then I'm not staying.
So it's in 2 weekends, right?
Yeah.
I know Monk's going up. He posted just on Facebook today, so please check that on the Destiny.
Apparently, we're gonna get beers.
Wait, we're gonna drink beer and play Destiny?
I know. Yeah, he put something up there like an after get together.
I tell you what, if Cascade Games could get their liquor license, it'd be a whole different ball game.
I would definitely stay if that was the case.
So I mean I won't be going up to that. He texted me and asked if I was going. I was like, basically, dude, I don't like to travel. Like, it takes time.
You're not gonna go?
I'm gonna stay.
Oh dear Lord!
I like my routine. I don't need any spot glosses. It's okay. Spot glosses.
Wait, did you see the new spot glosses?
Yeah, but they've also devalued exceedingly. Like remember after the Portland GQ, we were selling our spot glasses for like $300, and they're like $120 now.
My one for $365.
Oh, whatever.
I'm just saying
$300 plus. My point is like
another $100.
Not,
yeah.
So. Anyway,
I'm going. I definitely want to go. I had such a good time last year.
No, you should go if you can go. It's just not what I like. I don't want to wake up in the morning and drive 4 hours and then or have to get a hotel room, and it's just Although Seattle's a great city, if you have a chance to go.
Yeah, I think it's in like Redmond this time.
That's fine.
Yeah, which is
still Seattle.
Yeah, I don't like driving all the way to downtown. It's a little painful, but.
Well, you got to go through Tacoma, so budget 19 hours for that.
Yeah, I will have to go 6-0 for both of us then.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
So, what are you playing then?
Whatever deck you build for me.
Fair enough. Now, we don't want Mike to give away his secret tech before he walks in, right? But if you are at the Seattle GQ, which actually we'll shoot another episode before then.
Yep.
But if you are at the Seattle GQ, go say hi to Mike. He's gonna be sporting his Commando Cast mat. Yeah. Did you end up buying the Commando Cast hoodie?
I didn't, but I'm going to.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So if he has his Commando Cast hoodie on,
and
go give him a great big barrel.
I hope to see all my friends from Washington. I made such good friends when I went to the Washington Regional. So the guys from Dice Affiliate.
Dude, isn't it funny how like the Washington guys used to be the Millers, and like now they're like the Vader,
Vader
guys.
What happened? What happened? I talked so much trash about how mill happy those guys were, and they came down and just cut us all in half with lightsabers. Yeah, it was like, yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so say hi to Mike at GQ. We'll be back next week before that. Maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. We'll do like a what decks would you... That's totally what we're going to do next week. We'll bring a what decks are you going to bring to the GQ. We'll get Mike all prepped and ready for the GQ.
Yeah.
Talk through strategy on how he's going to attack. And other than that, if you like what we're doing, give us a like, subscribe. Hit that little bell. Do want to remind everyone the little bell is not the same as subscribing. Give us those subscribes. And Mike, do you have anything else?
Go Commando.
Go Commando.